Today is the 5th of November, so let's take a look at this 30 years later. I'm trying not to compare the movie and the book in this because, well, it's the anniversary of this, and the movie and the book are both very good, and the book is completely different. It's one of those things that took a kind of significant departure in many ways, and the movie left out a lot of things that were in the book, that the graphic novel or comic book or whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. It took a lot of parts out that kind of don't matter in some senses, but other parts were kind of significant. Mostly there was a bit about the leader, whatever his position was, the Fuhrer or something. It took some parts out with him that involved him being obsessed with the master computer that controlled everything. Left those bits out, so that's really the only major difference that I had an objection about. Also, the ending was a little different, but not significantly different enough to warrant the book is better. So this was written by Alan Moore, who is widely considered to be one of the best comic book graphic novel authors, who's still in the business. Is he in the business? I don't know. I don't know when his last thing was. But what else did he do? He did Watchmen. He did Batman: The Killing Joke, which it's pretty dark. And Swamp Thing, which I haven't personally read, but it's pretty good from what I hear from the internets. He's also like it almost seems like he based V on himself. He's an anarchist. He's kind of a crazy guy.
If you film him from strange angles, you can make him look very sinister. But he isn't really.
He like casually worships a snake god, but then he's like, oh, maybe I believe in him, but we'll see in a couple months.
Alan's familiar on his journey of faith and worship is an ancient Roman glove puppet snake called Glycon.
Well, actually, I just thought he looked gorgeous. He looked so smug. And he'd got this kind of these lidded eyes and this superior expression, which I identified with in a certain way.
Yeah.
And also, like I say, it's just the absurdity of this limbless serpentine body and this Paris Hilton head on top of it. It's irresistible. He's certainly the coolest, most rock and roll looking god that I have ever seen. I just fell in love at first sight.
Well, you know, I'll give the snake god a try, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so reading this, rereading this. I read it when the movie first came out, which was in 2006, I believe. Rereading this, I forgot how British this was. Obviously, it's got the Guy Fawkes mask, who everyone in America, nobody, I'm sure, knew what it was until this came out, until the movie came out. And the movie explains who he was, but the book has like one line. It's like a couple hundred years ago there was a guy who did a thing. Anyway, moving on. But the movie has like his backstory, and it has a flashback to where he had a fight, and a sword fight, and it kind of goes into a little bit of detail about who he was, but not enough to really be a distraction or anything. But there's also like all kinds of accents, and it's like you have to struggle to read it, man. But yeah, really, really British. They're calling people queers because it's, you know, an oppressive society. So does this still hold up 30 years later? Absolutely. The base story is still great. It's probably a timeless story about an oppressive government being overthrown by the masses. And, well, not necessarily, I think. That's probably actually a modern story, now that I think about it. That's a post 16th century story. It's not an archetypical story. It's not something that would happen all over the world. It's a very Western story, now that I think about it. I changed my own mind. Good work, me. Anyway, and reading through it, there were still a lot of scenes that had me really emotional, like the prison scene where he tricks Evie into believing that she is in prison, and he shoves the note through the wall, and she's like, and then she comes out believing that she has nothing to lose except her life and her dignity, and V says, okay, you have nothing to lose. You've reached your last inch of dignity. You are free. And then she kind of freaks out at him like, you psychopath, what are you doing? And he says, you've always been in a prison. I only showed you the bars. And that's pretty cool. And she goes on to basically say that to everybody in the world, but less in a less psychopathic way. Yeah. And another one of my favorite lines is, you can't kill an idea, which I don't think that was really explicitly said in the movie. I forget. I haven't watched it in a long time. It's probably been like 6 years. I got it on Blu-ray, so that's kind of a timestamp, whenever that came out. But yeah, you can't kill an idea. And I think that's where, not so much the book, but more the movie, had a massive, massive cultural influence on mostly internet culture, which cultural osmosis is osmosized, whatever, into reality, with the anonymous culture, and then that kind of went into Occupy Wall Street, and now it's Antifa, and Americans know about the Guy Fawkes mask. Maybe not all of them. Maybe they think it's the anonymous icon, but whatever. Either way, it had a huge cultural influence, and I find it kind of ironic because a lot of Antifa, who not all of them use the Guy Fawkes mask, but it's still there. It's mostly just like black scarves and hoodies and stuff. They kind of take the opposite message of what V was trying to portray, which is, first you have chaos, and that's do as you wilt, the land of do as you please.
Do you guys know about Dakota Access Pipeline? Do you guys know about the water? They're taking all the water! We can't buy it from Nestle and Monsanto! I'm so tired of
You need all change to cleanse yourselves of the wicked, to find inner peace, to be one with yourself. It's to be one with the universe.
And out of that, you get the true anarchy, which is it's a society without leaders. And the book did a really good job of portraying that. It's not a world where everything is just like you murder people in the street, and it's not the wild, wild west. It's more of a place where everyone can kind of implicitly get along and, not stab each other in the back, which is also, ironically, what everybody in the government is doing. The leader goes down, and suddenly there's this huge power vacuum, and everybody is they're already up to grab it before he's even gone. So it's really ironic, and I think that's intentional. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this. It still holds up. It's been 30 years, and some of the points that were absorbed by internet culture and, like I said, Antifa and Occupy Wall Street were kind of distorted, but I was going to say it's fine, but it's not fine, It doesn't have anything to do with the book or the movie. It happened. It's still a good book. It's a very good book, and if you haven't read it and only seen the movie, and if you haven't seen the movie, you should see the movie. It's good too. Either way, get a copy. Don't have it on my shelf, but see the movie. They're both good. So that's all I have to say, and I'll see you next time. Bye.